Welcome back, Inner Fire. This is the Inner Fire Endurance Sports Podcast. My name is Brad Minus, or Coach Brad, and I'm your host. And this is episode 5. So I'm going to try something a little different this time. I'm going to walk everybody through Ironman Ohio 70.3 and my experience with it, with the objectives. Remember that I said objectives. So 2 objectives. 1, for all of you that have done Ironman 70.3 or full Ironmans or other triathlons, I'm going to walk you through like a product review of how this shook out versus some of the other triathlons or Ironman 70.3s out there. And my second objective is for all of you that have never done an Ironman 70.3 or a 70.3, I'm going to walk you through from check-in to finish line. All right, so if you've ever read any of my blog posts that I post on Inner Fire Endurance Sports, I usually talk to you about literally from the moment I leave Tampa, Florida, to the second I cross the finish line. I usually throw some pictures in there, and I give you my experience. Well, this time, I'm not going to give you all that stuff to start with, because that gets a little bit boring and a little bit redundant. So I'm just going to take you through from the moment that we started to check in to the moment that I crossed the finish line. And hopefully what this will do is give you a little bit of an experience of what it's like to be there. Ironman does a really great job putting on races. Let's just face it. You know, they have races all over the world, both full 140.6, which is 140 miles, 0.6, and 70.3, which is actually half of that. Now, Ironman stopped putting together what they called the half Ironman because it kind of had a negative connotation that whenever anyone said, hey, I just got done with a half Ironman, well, then always people would say, well, when are you going to do a full? So they decided to go ahead and let's change it up and let's call it a 70.3. So now you can say Ironman 70.3 or Ironman. So the Ironman will automatically consist of, or at least have the implication of, the 140.6 triathlon. Well, stepping up into Ohio, this 70.3 is taking place in between Delaware, Ohio, and Columbus. Well, check-in is done right at the finish line at Ironman Village, which is taking place at Ohio Wesleyan University. Beautiful, small, liberal arts college, and it's super clean, and just it's a very, very pretty, very pretty place, pristine, very nicely done, and Ironman Village is right outside of the soccer stadium. Like I said, Ironman does a really great job at organization, and they do everything possible to give everybody a first-rate experience. So the first thing that happens is you arrive at the stadium, and it's time to check in. Now, yours truly is what we call an all-world athlete. Means you're anywhere top 10% of your age group. So I'm a little bit luckier in this idea is that the all-world athletes have a separate line. So if there's a long line to check in, you can walk up to the all-world athlete and probably just walk right through and start your check-in. We went ahead and arrived on Friday with the race being on Sunday, and we just happened to get there when there wasn't a lot of people there anyway. So our check-in probably would have been the same time whether we walked into the all-world athlete line or not. So you walk into the all-world athlete line or the regular check-in line, and you give them some ID, and they check you off saying, okay, he's here, he's ready to race. So they found my name. They gave me a little ticket that had my bib number on it, which was 181, and they proceeded to shoo me through to the next station. So the next station is your waivers. So you get 2 waivers. You get a blue and a yellow. Blue covers all of your liability. It has the full-on, you're not going to sue Ironman. you are doing this at your own risk, that you're in good health, blah, 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 and you sign your life away there. And then the yellow has all of your pertinent information: name, address, phone number, what kind of medicine you're on, do you have any other injuries, where are you staying, what's your next of kin or emergency contact. And you go ahead and you review that and you sign that. Then you walk into the next table where they go ahead and refile your signed waivers and give you your packet. Inside that packet is going to be your swim cap, which in this race there was only two colors. One was green for the boys and pink for the ladies. Now, also in that packet is your bib number for your run, and also is stickers. Now, these stickers are for your helmet, your bike, your gear bags, which we'll cover in a minute, and some other pertinent information. At that point, then they give you a wristband. This time the wristband was orange. Now, the wristband is everything athlete. The minute they put that on you, you are an athlete. Now you can walk through the village. They know you're an athlete. You can walk into transition, and you are basically qualified to go pretty much anywhere an athlete can go. So you walk to the next table where they start to give you some swag. They give you a nice backpack this time, embroidered with the Ironman Ohio 70.3 logo. It's a one pocket, nicely done backpack this year, fairly well constructed. Now, the swag changes every year, obviously. You know, if you do several 70.3s, you're probably going to end up with the same swag, but with different logo printing on it. But this time they did a pretty good job. Also in there is some other samples, a Cliff Bar, there's a Red Bull, and there's some other literature on other races and some of the vendors. So at that point, you get that, and then you walk over and you grab your T-shirt. This year was kind of interesting. The girls got a gray silver type of color, and the gentlemen got a sea green. Now, I kind of thought that was a little bit backwards, but you know what? It's not bad. It's, I don't have a problem with that color. It seems to be okay. At least it wasn't pink, right? It wasn't that hot fuchsia pink as a male. But the T-shirts pretty well. I've got numerous of them. At that point, you are pretty much done now with check-in. So if you get there and there's not a lot of people that are checking in, you can check in pretty fast. Now, Ironman's pretty brilliant about their marketing. They basically are just a giant marketing company that just happens to put on races, in my opinion. You're led right into the merchandise, the Ironman merchandise shop, which is pretty impressive because they have everything from water bottles all the way up to kits that say Ironman Ohio 70.3. Those are tri-kits, and other T-shirts and hats, and then there's just Ironman logo, and there's some great T-shirts that have certain aspects of them that are completely different. Like they've got Ironman support crew, so you can give to your friends and family. They've got Iron Mate stuff that you can give to your significant other. So it's pretty well done, and it always is fun to get around inside the merchandise tent. The one thing I love about Ironman Village is the buildup. It's the aura. The environment really leads you to the race. You know that you're getting ready to race when you are inside the village. And I really love that about the way Ironman puts that together. So as you go through the merchandise tent, of course, yours truly does what I always do, and every race I buy a mug, especially if it's a brand new event that I haven't done before. And this was one of those cases. I've never done Ironman Ohio, which is going to give me and you a fresh perspective versus if I was to talk to you about Augusta, which I've done about 6 times. So that's going to be a little bit skewed because I'm going to be comparing it from year to year. This time, I have the freshest perspective ever. So the rest of Ironman Village deals with a lot of other vendors. So you saw Quintana Roo was there as the bike vendor. There was 2 of the I don't know what you want to call them. They are the legging recovery boots. And there were 2 versions of that this year. One was Normatec, and there was the other version, which I just can't remember at the same thing. But these are those legs. Then what it does is it increases circulation in your legs by increasing the amount of pressure around the leg at different points at different times and changing the points. And they do this by inflating these boots that you put on, and it inflates in different points and then releases and then inflates again and releases. And it feels really, really, really good. Now, they're not cheap, but Normatec had a booth where you can actually go and sit down and try them out. And it's pretty good for pre-race and for post-race. So obviously there was a lot of people there. There were also other vendors for hydration drinks and for beet juices and for different running apparel. Base salt was there. So it's always a lot of fun just to walk around. They also have a tent where they do the mandatory meeting. Now, we didn't go to the mandatory meeting at this point, but we did come back to Ironman Village to go ahead and do that. So the mandatory meeting is actually kind of fun, and I would suggest that everybody go to it. If you've been to numerous 70.3s before, most likely you're going to hear the same thing over and over again. You could probably get away with not going, but I would suggest you go because sometimes they're a riot. They've got somebody up there that knows how to entertain the crowd. And this one wasn't that way, unfortunately, but it was still a lot of fun. So the head ref got up there, the race director got up there and basically went through from swim to bike to run, all the rules, all the different integrations of where the safety personnel are, and they went through the streamlining of how you go from one event to the other and get yourself to the finish line. They kind of went over some of the routes. They went over some of the elevations. And so it's just a lot of fun, and it's got a lot of great information. So I would always suggest you attending the mandatory meeting if that is your very first 70.3, or even if you're just there as a 70.3, because you'll always get one little piece of information that you might have not have seen before. So that is the Ironman Village, and we attended that on Friday with the race being on Sunday. So my routine is on the day that I get there, is we usually go and check out the water, and we did. It was nice, and at that point it was fairly cool. Unfortunately, it didn't turn out that way for the race, and we'll get to that in a minute. Then, of course, there's the Saturday, which is kind of prep. So the first thing to do is to get on my bike and pedal through the gears, and basically spent 20 to 30 minutes on the bike just kind of tooling around. And I go through each one of my gears to make sure that they're working, because on Saturday I can still go back to the village, which does include a bike mechanic. And if I find things wrong with my bike or with your bike while you're there, then you get to find out, obviously there's a mechanic there that can take care of things pretty fast. So the first thing to do is go ahead and go through the bike. And then I jump off the bike, and I usually throw on my running shoes, and I go for a quick 15-minute run, maybe a mile or two, just to shake out the legs, test out the laces, make sure that the shoes are working, the socks are working. And I'm doing these in the shoes that I'm going to be wearing the next day, just to double check for hot spots or anything like that. And I usually bring an extra pair of shoes with me that I know will work no matter what, my standbys. Those standbys might not have the greatest of tread on them left, depending, but they're probably not my first choice to run in. This time I had the ability to run in a brand new pair of Nike Vaporfly 4%, which I really enjoy running in right now, especially for races. Anyway, so that is Saturday. So Saturday is testing, bike,